Idiom stories about foolish people are not merely intended to mock stupidity. Instead, through the typified foolish acts, they expose the common thinking fallacies and behavioral shortcomings inherent in human beings, providing us with profound self-awareness and insights for growth. Seek a steed with the aid of a painting. In ancient China, there was a renowned horse expert named Bo Le, who was adept at identifying excellent horses. He wrote a book titled The Classic of Horse Judging, which depicted in detail the features of superior horses. Bo Le's son, believing he could find good horses by simply following the descriptions in the book, took the book along and set out on a horse hunting expedition. According to the book, a fine horse should have a high, arched nose, large eyes, and a flowing mane. One day, while walking by a pond, he saw a toad with a relatively high, arched nose. Mistaking it for a horse, he was overjoyed. He carefully caught the toad and brought it home, presenting it to his father, saying, "Father, look, I found a horse, as described in your book, only its hooves seem a bit different." Bo Le was both amused and exasperated by his son's foolishness. This story warns that blindly following rules without using one's own judgment can lead to absurd outcomes. Follow me for more fun stories from around the world. Purchase the casket and return the pearl. Once upon a time, a merchant from the state of Chu was trying to sell precious pearl. To enhance the pearl's allure, he made an incredibly beautiful wooden casket. He carved the casket with elaborate patterns, inlaid it with shiny jewels, and perfumed it with fine spices. One day, a man from the state of Zheng came across the merchant's display. Entranced by the beauty of the casket, he immediately decided to buy it. After paying the price, he took the casket but gave the pearl back to the merchant, saying, "I only want this wonderful casket, not the pearl." The merchant was left speechless. This story shows how some people can be misled by outward appearances and overlook the real value. Follow me for more fun stories from around the world. Pull up the seedlings to help them grow. In the past, there was a farmer who was very eager for his crops to grow taller quickly. Every day, he would go to the fields to check on them, but he always felt that the crops were growing too slowly. One day, an idea struck him. He thought, "Why don't I help the crops grow by pulling them up?" So he spent the whole day in the fields, carefully pulling up each crop a little bit. By the end of the day, he was exhausted but satisfied, thinking he had done a great thing. However, the next day, when he went to the fields, he was shocked to find that all his crops had withered and died. This story shows that going against the natural laws will only lead to failure. Guard the stump to wait for rabbit. Once upon a time, there was a farmer. One day, while he was working in the fields, a hare, running at full speed, accidentally hit a tree trunk and died instantly. The farmer was overjoyed to find the dead hare. He thought that such good luck could happen again. So, instead of working hard in the fields as usual, he sat by the tree every day, waiting for another hare to come and hit the tree. But days passed Weeks passed and months passed. No more hares came. The farmer's fields were left unattended and grew wild with weeds. Eventually, he ended up with nothing. This story tells us that relying on luck instead of hard work will lead to failure. Follow me for more fun stories from around the world. Pluck one's ears while stealing a bell. Long ago, in a small village, there was a man who was very greedy. One day, while passing by a wealthy house, he noticed a large, exquisitely crafted bell hanging on the gate. Enchanted by its beauty, he decided to steal it. However, he was well prose, aware that the bell would ring loudly once touched. To solve this problem, he thought to himself, if I cover my ears, I won't hear the bell sound, and then I can steal it without getting caught. Without hesitation, he covered his ears with his hands and then boldly grabbed the bell. But the bell rang as soon as he touched it. The owner of the house, hearing the noise, quickly came out and caught the thief red-handed. The man who tried to steal the bell by covering his ears was ultimately exposed for his foolish act of self-deception. Follow me for more fun stories from around the world. Marking the boat to find the lost sword. During the Warring States period in ancient China, there was a man from the state of Chu who loved his sword more than anything. Wherever he went, he carried it proudly by his side. One day, he hopped on a wooden boat to cross the river for an errand. He sat near the edge, relaxing and enjoying the gorgeous views along the banks. The wind was soft, the water was calm. It was a perfect day. But out of nowhere, a big wave hit. When they reached the middle of the river, the boat shook hard. The man lost his balance and plop, his sword slipped right off his waist and sank into the water, gone in a flash. "Oh no, my sword!" he yelled. Everyone rushed over. "Quick, jump in and grab it," they said. "There's still time." Instead, the man stayed cool. "Don't worry," he said. "I've got this." He slowly took out a knife and carved a deep mark on the boat's edge, right where the sword fell. "See this? This is where it dropped. I'll just jump in here once we reach the shore. Easy." People shook their heads, but he ignored them. "Trust me, the mark doesn't lie." So the trip continued. When they finally got to the shore, the man rolled up his pants and jumped into the water exactly at the marked spot. He felt around underwater, but found only mud and weeds. No sword. He came up coughing and confused. "It has to be here. I saw it fall right here." Everyone on the bank burst out laughing. Then an older man walked over and said gently, "Son, you marked the boat, not the water. The boat moved. Your sword didn't. It's still back where you dropped it." The man finally understood. He looked down, embarrassed. The moral of the story? Things change around us all the time. If you only stick to the old marks without paying attention, you might just end up like this guy looking for a sword in the wrong place. Follow me for more fun stories from around the world. The foolish characters in idiom stories about fools often share a common trait. They do not believe they are wrong. The farmer thinks, waiting by the stump will yield another rabbit. The man from the state of Chu believes marking the boat will help find the lost sword, and the man from the state of Zheng deems the jewelry box is more valuable than the pearl inside it. Their foolishness stems from a lack of self-awareness about their own thinking fallacies. Therefore, these stories ultimately tell us true wisdom is not never making mistakes, but being willing to reflect on the mistakes we might make. By asking ourselves a few more questions before taking action, is this just blind luck? Has the situation changed? Does this align with reality? Am I heading in the right direction? We can avoid falling into hidden foolishness and make more rational decisions with more effective actions.